Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we are
Oh God.
We are reviewing this evening's episode, which was episode 12 of season 23 of Hell's Kitchen. So it just aired. And so anyway, there's 6 chefs left, and the whole premise of the episode is he has 5 black jackets to give out, but 6 people, so only 5 of the 6 can get one, and the 6th person will be eliminated. So anyway, they start out with what they're going to do, and I didn't even realize it until they started doing it. I don't know if he explained it and I missed it, or I was distracted, but they're going to do this in rounds. So the first round is all 6 are competing, and they get 7 ingredients. All of them have the same ingredients, and whatever they do with them, will be their, if they do good, he'll pick 2 out of the group. And that'll be the first round. So, they all start cooking. And
so what was the first challenge, Safi? What was the first...
They had 7 ingredients.
Oh, yeah. They all had the same 7 ingredients.
Right.
And honestly, I'm going to have a little trouble with this episode because I have a hard time, remembering all these different dishes, because they made, how many dishes? 6 times 2 is 12 plus, it would be 6 plus 4, 10 plus 2, 12. So, 12 dishes total, that's a lot. That's a lot of dishes. Or I think it might even have been more than that, but, yeah.
And the thing is that as they go on, and they get to the final round, it gets more emotionally...
Well, we're not there yet, Safi. We're in the first round.
Right now...
We're in the first round, Safi.
They're still under a very stressful thing, knowing that one person...
the first round.
Yeah, I know, but they're all still under the gun because they know one of them is going to be eliminated.
Well, Safi, that's a reality show. I mean, that's kind of what happens in a reality show.
Okay, so they cook.
Let's talk about round 1. Safi, now, which dish did I think was the best? Did you write it down?
Actually, Marco thought Kyle's was the best, I thought.
Oh, yeah. He made, a country fried veal or something. Country veal. And I felt like his dish looked the best. And honestly, surprisingly, I felt like, and I hope I don't go to hell for saying this, I thought that Kyle had the best dishes of the episode. I felt like he was one of the only ones, if not the only one, who understood the assignment and made dishes that were a lot more elevated and made dishes that felt like they were black jacket worthy, whereas I felt like a lot of other chefs just played it safe. They made these really simple dishes. They made things that they didn't put much thought into it. I really felt like Egypt's dishes in the first 2 rounds were really, really weak. They were really, really, just bare minimum effort. And that's not to say that they were bad, but just they really, really felt like, ugh. Not really very interesting. Amanda's dishes, except for the last one. She had a good last round dish, surprisingly. And then Hannah Banana's dish was so good that Gordon gave her the black jacket.
She got the first one.
Yeah.
And so this first round, 2 people got it. And I think that it's strategy on his part.
Really?
I believe that he already knew which 5 he wanted.
Oh.
And that the way he picked them and everything was further testing the one or ones that he really wants to hire. And because, they have to be, it's subjective, of course. There's no other judge. It's him, all by himself. So, but I believe that it's strategy on his part. I think he knew exactly who he wanted, and who was not, and who he thought was the weakest.
Really?
And,
Well, why did he have Egypt in the last round? Then you know that
because he was testing him.
Oh.
I believe that he was testing him. I think I could be totally wrong, but he's been doing this a long time. He has a lot of restaurants. He has a lot of different projects. He has a lot of experience.
And keep in mind, he is the producer of the show as well.
Right.
So he has all the hands in the kitchen, or all the hands on the show. So he knows that it's his show, and he can manipulate it the way he wants to do what he wants to do, to have whatever happens. Like, that's why he's helped Egypt so much throughout the season, is because it's really strange too. Like, and I will say he didn't do a great job this episode until the end, but I really felt like once again people underestimated Egypt, especially in the last round. The way that people talked about him in the Black Jacket Lounge. It's like they don't even mention him. Like, they mentioned everyone else but him.
Well, no, that's not true, because Kyle said...
I'm not talking about Kyle. I'm talking about everyone else. Like in that second round, like, they did not mention Egypt at all. They just, like, refused to bring him up because, like, it's like they have such an intense disliking of him. Or they're intimidated by him. I don't know. I don't know.
I think they like him, because I don't know why they wouldn't.
I don't know. That the way they've treated him the whole season, they just constantly put him up for elimination the whole season, Safi.
Well,
and
no,
you know as
Kyle,
well as I do, he didn't deserve it.
But no, Kyle said he thought he was the most formidable or worthy opponent.
Yeah. Kyle said that he thought Egypt was the best. He said, to be the best, you gotta beat the best. And I thought, oh, well, that's actually surprising, because Kyle tried to take him out last week.
Because he wanted him out of there, because he didn't, so he wouldn't compete.
But now he changed his mind. He said to be the best, you gotta beat the best, and he wants to beat the best now.
That's a strategy on his part.
What?
Get rid of the competition.
He doesn't want to get rid of it anymore, Safi. He said he wanted to beat him.
Okay, well, anyway.
How does that make sense?
Well, he's there now, so...
Oh, God.
So
Safi.
anyway, the second person, I think it's a surprise to both Marco and me.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it's a strategy. I think these are really... Hannah, I'm just not positive about. She could be either way. Brandon, because of the way he was last week, he acted like he was a deer caught in the headlights. I was actually shocked by his behavior. I mean, it's like he froze, and he moved real slow, like he was caught in quicksand or something. I can't explain it, but it surprised me, and so now I don't think I can't see him winning because of that.
I don't like him at all, anyways.
And Marco doesn't like him.
I've never liked him.
So both of those, which I would have to say, if you have a strategy, and you know which 5 you like,
well, I wanted to
you
mention...
would pick those 2 the first because they're the weakest of the 5.
Well, I wanted to mention that Amanda had said that with one of the ingredients, the cliche thing to do would have been to turn it into a puree.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Brandon did.
I know.
And I felt like, even though I don't like Amanda either, I do like her a little bit better than Brandon, except she has a little bit... They both have big mouths, and I don't like it when people have big mouths like that, but, like, I really felt like he made the most cliche dish. He made, like, the dish that you would have expected. So I was really disappointed when he got the black jacket.
I think it was a strategy. I really do.
Safi's just going to repeat the same lines over and over like a robot. She's like remember that scene in Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory where they have the machine? Close the door, Safi. You're wasting tape now. No, close the door. Remember they had the machine and they asked it, like, where's the chocolate? Where's the golden ticket? And the machine's like, he's just like, fuck you. That's basically what Safi is, like, as a reviewer. She's like the machine in Willy Wonka. It just says, fuck you. And so anyways, the second round, the premise was you have to do it in 23 minutes.
And that was very challenging.
And I felt like that was a challenge. That should have been the final challenge.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would have been better for that, because to make a dish in 23 minutes, that sounds like a nightmare. You know, I like to cook. The only dish I can make in 23 minutes is probably grilled cheese and tomato soup. Or pizza, frozen pizza. Like, I could make those dishes in 23 minutes. I don't think I could make anything else in 23 minutes. And so, Whit started having a private meltdown. And it was really kind of uncomfortable to watch, because it was like, oh God, this is so awkward, cringeworthy.
And I don't know if she was going to make it.
Yeah, because
I really didn't.
Look, this is a competition, and like, she's got to be ready for that. Like, this is a reality show competition, and this is the type of stuff that's going to happen. Like, you're going to have to cook in these high intensity pressure situations, and you might have to cook multiple times in one day. It's not just this thing where, like, okay, you get to cook in a challenge, and then you get to cook later on in a service, like. And so I really felt like I don't think she's gonna win the season after seeing her act like how she did in round 2, because I feel like that's weak.
Chef Ramsay even asked her what was wrong, and the thing is, the people who had won the previous round, they go into the Black Jacket Lounge. You can get a massage, but the little perk that they have is they get to see what's going on in the competition, the further competition that's going on. And Hannah recognized that she was having this meltdown. And they acted like it was, remember, Brandon and Hannah. And I think they were also skeptical as to whether she was going to be able to make it. But she did pull herself together. But even Chef Ramsay went up to her and said, what's wrong? What's wrong? And because I think this is another test. He's testing. He has it in his mind about who he wants.
Yeah, because if you're watching these people, Safi.
Sorry, I can't breathe.
Are you going to leave? You want to leave?
No, come on.
You want to go to the Black Jacket Lounge and give Hannah a massage?
No.
Yeah. And
no.
So anyways, what was I going to say?
We're talking about what he has in mind with these
people. Oh, yeah, okay. Useless. I'm just kidding. But, after seeing these people cook week after week, episode after episode, if I were Gordon, I would have an idea of who I wanted to. You've seen them for a long time, and it's like, you better have an idea at this point. If you're like a professional chef who hires people, like, you better have an idea of who you want. So I think he probably wants Egypt overall. I don't think that he wants, or maybe Hannah, I don't know.
No, I think he wants Egypt too, but we're just, we don't know everything.
He didn't want Amanda.
It's thought. It's just based on what we're seeing, but you never know.
And Safi has to mention, I predicted the 2 Black Jacket winners of round 2. I felt like both of their dishes were the best ones, and they were also the ones that felt the most elevated. You had Kyle, he had this duck dish where what was really interesting about his was he had all these other elements on the plate that were raw, and basically the only thing that he cooked was like the duck and then something else, and I felt like that was really cool, and I appreciated that creativity.
Well, I think so did Chef Ramsay.
And Witt's dish was really good looking too, even though I can't remember what it was, and Safi probably didn't write it down.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Egypt's dish was like a giant question mark. It was just, I mean, it looked good. Like, it looked like something I'd eat. I would eat it. But, like, it just didn't really look that impressive compared to those other two. And then, who was the other one? Oh, yeah, Amanda. She made the simplest, like, dish. Like, she's like, I have this on a Friday night at my house all the time.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I felt like, well, that's what Brandon did in the first round, and Gordon gave him the jacket. So it would further Safi's point by, like, her dish was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it, but she still did not get a jacket. So I feel like he knew he didn't want her. And, oh boy. You know, this whole episode, too, Amanda is, like, the perfect candidate for a reality television show. Because, you know, she's just so mouthy. She makes everything about her. She cries all the time. And so, oh, God. Safi, what does she do in the third round while she's cooking?
Well, okay, so the people in the second round, as Marco alluded to.
So I literally just said what happened.
Whit and Kyle.
I already said that.
And they had 23 minutes.
I didn't allude to it. I said it.
Well, okay,
overtly.
So he said it. So now we're on the last round. We have the two last people standing. Egypt and Amanda.
It would have been such a depressing start to 2025 if Amanda got the black jacket over Egypt. Like, that would have just been like, wah, wah, wah,
but just to tell you the difference, for their round now, they're very emotionally hampered. Because they're having doubts about themselves. They're just like, they're a little bit upset. Like Amanda, remember, she's been talking. Like Marco says, she's just talking all the time about herself.
Yeah.
It's just like she thinks she's entitled. She has an entitlement. Now, Egypt, if he does think he's entitled, he hasn't said that. He doesn't say those things. He's more focused on what he needs to do, and which is what it should be. But anyway, so you've got this emotional constraint that's been laid upon them because they're the last two.
Okay,
Only
Amanda.
one gets a jacket. They get 45 minutes to cook, and they have to cook something. What, to honor their mentor?
Inspired by their mentors.
Inspired by their mentor.
Now, Amanda, she has a full-blown panic attack. She starts crying. Basically, perfect reality TV. If this was the early 2000s, she would be, like, worshipped. She would get her own show called Crying with Amanda in the kitchen. You know, and it's like... it was funny because, you know, I was joking about when the sous chefs would come in, I would be like, oh, look, there's the little sous chef cameo where they come into the episode for like 1 second and then they go leave. But Michelle actually had to be there for more than 1 second to deal with the panic attack issue. And she had to calm down Amanda. And then Amanda, surprisingly, I will say, she came up with a really good-looking dish, like a miso... soy sauce cod thing, and I felt like that looked like a really good dish. I would love to eat that. And then Egypt also was very upset. He was also like down in the dumps because, I mean, he's the black sheep of Hell's Kitchen season 23.
Which I don't get. He is not a bad person. He's not a jerk.
But that's how they treat him, though. He's the black sheep of Hell's Kitchen.
I just don't get that.
If he wins the season, he will forever be known as the black sheep who won Hell's Kitchen. And he made a really good-looking dish, too. He made this, like, filet mignon with a tortilla ravioli with brown butter inside it, and I thought, that sounds really, really good. and it definitely sounds a lot more pretentious and a lot more black jacket worthy, especially because it wasn't multiple ravioli, it was just a single ravioli, like, boom. And, that is pretentious, Safi. That is Gordon Ramsay's fetish food. And, but the people in the Black Jacket Lounge, they were kind of bad-mouthing Egypt. They were saying things like, usually you make multiple ravioli in case one doesn't work. And they were really doubting him, and they didn't want him to make it. And then...
But Kyle said, though, he wanted him because he thought he was a more worthy opponent, and he's actually was right.
And Egypt gets it, and I do think that Egypt is going to win the season because you can really tell a lot about who wins and who loses by how they edit the show. And Safi even noticed that they focused on Amanda a lot in this episode.
A lot.
And that's a red flag. That means she's going home. And she did. She went home. But Egypt, they focused on him a lot, especially after he won the final black jacket. And they gave him like this extended emotional triumphant moment with this quote-unquote epic music playing. And then he goes in the Black Jacket Lounge, and certain people were really upset that he was there, and especially Whit. Whit was like, I really wanted Amanda to be here to comfort me. I relate to her. I need her. And it's like, bitch, this is a fucking competition.
Well, but she was saying she's helped me get through this whole time. Well, big deal. And she's not going to be. What is she? You want her around for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You want her to...
Give me a break.
Well, you know what else was funny that we forgot to mention? When Amanda was cooking, and she had to make this dish based on her mentor, Jeff, which it's funny because we had never heard anything about any mentors the entire season.
Anybody's.
And then all of a sudden, Amanda has this sob story about, no chef wants to teach me how to be a chef because I'm a woman. Which I just think...
She said that again. She said that in front of Chef Ramsay.
I just think that's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. And it's like, how many female chefs have we seen across these cooking shows now? And, like, to think that, like, women are, like, being held down by some sort of a non-existent patriarchy in the cooking world is just... It's just fucking absurd. It's just so absurd. It's another one of those...
It's really not right.
Imaginary, invisible complaints. And that's really what feminism has turned into, is like an endless list of imaginary complaints by people who will never be satisfied by anything. And
just to be clear, yes, there are complaints, but
not anymore. Not anymore.
That's not true.
Not anymore.
Okay, Marco didn't know what he's talking about. Anyway, they have gone overboard. And they have done it so badly that it's minimalized it. It's turned it into a joke. And because you start, it's like crying wolf. And you cry wolf too many times, nobody believes you anymore. And so that's what they've done. And I when she said that, it might not have anything to do with her being a woman. It may have had to do with
her attitude.
Her attitude. Because, like I said, this whole evening... And even in other episodes, she's been going, nobody's going to be able to break this. I'm going to be the winner. And I mean, that's mild.
It's reality show talk.
On and on and on.
But it's reality show talk.
But to me, it indicated to me it's going to be just the opposite of what she says. She's not going to be the winner.
I think
she's the weakest one.
Well, I think that the colored hair was the red flag, and I know that you're not allowed to discriminate people based on their hair anymore. But, I mean, honestly, like, I would not want to hire somebody like her because it's just like a giant red flag, to be honest. Like, right, Safi?
It was her attitude. It wasn't to me. I don't give an F
because
the red hair.
The attitude reflects in the choice of the hair color. It's like you choose that neon red hair color, even though your hair is clearly, it should be black like how it was naturally probably was.
Or brown, I don't know.
And it's like a big red flag because it's like you're showing that you have this loud personality, not only through how you talk, but also through your appearance. And so it's really telling. I mean, I don't think that... I think you should be able to discriminate based on someone's hair because it's a big tell into their personality. You know, like Safi, she's got a very strange hairstyle now.
Oh, Marco. That's just bullshit, okay? The thing is, I'm not going to... I'm not looking at her hair. I'm listening to her voice.
I'm looking at both.
I'm listening to what she said. She has said every episode.
No, Safi.
And I thought before when we had her and some of these other people, they're gone. And we talked about this too. They were the weakest ones, and it was just like mediocre plus mediocre plus mediocre, and like and I remember saying, okay, those three are going to be eliminated, and who's going to go first? Okay, well, the other two women went first, and then she's
God,
the last one.
Truth, Safi?
Well, I knew it, because she just constantly, every episode, I'm better than everybody, and nobody could match up to me, and I'm like, what the hell? Do you really mean that?
The most cringeworthy part is when she started crying, and Michelle, the sous chef, who shows up for like 1 second an episode, she's like, do it for Jeff. Do it for Jeff. And Amanda's like, okay, I've got to pull myself together and do it for Jeff. And it's like, bitch, we haven't heard about Jeff the whole season. Why is Jeff so important right now? Like, you haven't mentioned Jeff in your whole life on the show. And now all of a sudden you have to do everything for Jeff. Like, come on. That's just fucking... That's so fake and phony reality show cringe crap talk. Do it for Jeff.
I hope Jeff isn't alive and he heard that, because I would have been mortified.
Safi, do it for Jeff. I'm going to start saying that. Like, whenever you're doing something, just do it for Jeff. And it would make as much sense as when she said it in this episode. Because it's like, you didn't mention him the whole season, but all of a sudden he's like the guy who helped you become a cook. And it's like, that's pretty bad, Safi. Because it's like, come on.
So
really?
Anyway, Egypt is the one, and he goes back there, and so Gordon joins them, and they all have a drink.
And they got what I think is the best reward they've gotten so far, potentially. They got 2 round-trip plane tickets each to go wherever Allegiant Airlines flies. And so anywhere they want. And so that is potentially the best reward I've probably ever seen on the show. Because, I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then after that, they all got like Christmas presents that were kind of like mysterious. And I think it'll have to do with next episode, maybe, or I don't know. I mean, they played it off like they're going to reveal at next episode, like, what's in those Christmas presents. So, you know.
So we don't know about that.
And also, funnily enough, like, Christmas, the whole Christmas theme, it just shows this should have been on Christmas. Like, this show should have been airing in December. Like, they shouldn't have taken a month-long break, because that would have synced up. Like, that would have been my birthday episode. And it would have made so much sense. It's right before Christmas. You have the Christmas theme on the show. So I don't know why they did that. So, but I would give this episode an A. I thought it was really entertaining. I loved watching Amanda fall apart, because all of a sudden she started basically crying over this guy named Jeff, who, like, we never heard about before. And then I like seeing when Egypt went in there in the Black Lounge, it was like, oh shit, because all those people there, they just realized that everything was over for them, and their dreams were shattered. Like, they didn't even want Amanda there because they liked her, they just wanted her there because they thought she was easier to beat. Yeah. And they were saying that on the show. So, like,
well,
it was funny.
At least they're honest. Yeah. Why not? I mean, it's a competition. they're trying to be chefs, and they want to win. So why not say that? I don't care. Nobody should be upset by it.
What
But
would
anyway,
you give this episode, Safi, and then we'll end?
I guess I would give it an A.
God, Safi,
Well,
you're
I
a
just-
walking copycat.
Well, I just think it was. I don't know. You can just. It's laid bare what's really happening there, and I thought it was interesting how they did this. They cooked and they cooked and they cooked and they cooked, and they had to come up with something like the 23-minute window, and then they got 45, but then they had to think of their mentor. I mean, those are easy qualifications to do your cooking. You know, you really have to, you do have to be really good, but that's the difference between like MasterChef and this show, is that he had picked a bunch of people who already have very highly responsible chef positions. So if they really are as responsible and have such a good position where there's a lot of responsibility and creativity, and if they're really good, like they should be at their jobs, then they should be able to do anything that he says. So it's not like MasterChef, where you have people who are in that position. They've only cooked at home, and all of these people are really professionals, and you're trying to pick out the best of the best, I think. So it's a little. That's why he's giving, for a prize, he gave these plane tickets, and it was wow, what a wonderful present to have, and I'm sure they all appreciated it. But I think it was, and then they had these rounds, and so you can see, it's also laid bare with the final two, how much pressure and they're like thinking both of them, they're just not even deserving. Like,
what was funny though was that Kyle didn't even really feel the pressure in the episode, or he didn't show it at all.
No, he didn't.
I thought that was hilarious because it's like he's just like the ultimate example, as they said, of like, don't judge a book by its cover, because he's just like completely like someone to watch for the rest of the season. Like he might be in the finale.
But it was funny how the stress level grew, and you're just talking about a few people. You're not talking about 12 people or 20 people. You're talking about 6 people, and there was 2, and then there was 2 again, and then there were the last 2, and the stress level went way up when they got to the last round.
You guys can tell Safi's a little tired.
So it's kind of like it was kind of like dramatic, very dramatic, even with just these few people. And it wasn't really overtly, but of course, now Amanda began to melt down. And she did this thing with the breathing with that woman sous chef that.
Safi, how many fingers am I holding up?
Oh, don't do that. And so it was really. That was almost like Mark was saying. She's like a big reality. I mean, she makes a great reality show contestant because they did all this extra dramatic stuff. So, anyway, it was really good. And I don't know how it's going to play out now because, like I said, I have not watched this show in years because of the smoking. And I don't see, now it could be, and they're just hiding it, but I haven't seen anybody smoking. And I'm saying this because when I was watching it in these...
Safi, you're obsessed with smoking.
Well, I don't know how anybody could taste the food.
You're obsessed.
I don't know how anybody could taste or smell their food properly if they're a chain smoker. And these people in the past We're like chain smokers.
Well, Safi, the past is the past.
I don't know how they could have
just
been
like
successful.
just like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi said, you have to kill the past if you have to. I'm just kidding.
You people know
I
what
hate
I
that
mean.
movie.
You know
Safi
what I
hates
mean
it too.
Is that how could they be a successful chef and be able to come up with new flavors?
Sometimes it
and
feels like
if they can't taste or smell what it all smells like smoke.
sometimes I feel like Safi is playing a game where she tries to see how long she can make a review last.
Okay. Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And become one of our subscribers. This episode was probably one of the best in weeks, I think. And it's too bad that they put it off for a month. But anyway, it's all because of the football and everything. So anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.